Tonight on CFTK-TV News, the Smithers Skate Park was visited by Tony Hawk recently. The man accused of intentionally attacking the Lapu Lapu Festival went back to court, and the NDP is looking to crack down on nonviolent crime.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cale Maslin, and here's what's making the news in the Northwest and beyond for today. Towards the end of last week, the District of Kitimat issued a statement saying that they're placing their water system under a water quality advisory due to elevated turbidity levels in the Kitimat River. The advisory is set to remain active until a drinking water officer decides that it can be lifted, and the district is working with Northern Health on this matter. In the meantime, Northern Health is recommending that pregnant women, children, people with weaker immune systems, and elderly people only consume boiled water while the advisory is in place. Also at the end of last week, the Smithers Skate Park Society set up a pair of events to celebrate the recent completion of the Phase 3 expansion of the Smithers Skate Park. The first event took up much of the later part of the morning and the early afternoon, and was aptly called the Learn to Skate event, where members of the Skate Park Society gave out some tips to people who were either trying skateboarding for the first time or were still trying to figure some things out. And the later afternoon saw some pro skaters come down to the park to put on a demonstration, with the headliner of those skaters being the legendary Tony Hawk. Other athletes at the event included Lizzie Armanto, Mark McMorris, and Grayson Fletcher. The man accused of killing 11 people by intentionally driving an SUV through a crowded street festival last month was back in court. He is set to have a hearing to determine if he's fit to stand trial. Here's CTV's Ben Milger on what will happen next.
Appearing by video and sitting quietly with his head mostly bowed, Adam Kaiji Lo did not speak during a Friday morning court appearance. Lo is accused of killing 11 people and injuring dozens more by intentionally driving an SUV into a crowd at the Lapu Lapu Day Street Festival on April 26th. So far, he faces 8 counts of second-degree murder, and the investigation is still active.
What I can tell you is we've forwarded a preliminary report to Crown for consideration of additional charges.
Based on a report from a forensic psychiatrist, Lo's lawyer requested a hearing to determine if his client is fit to stand trial. The Crown did not object, and the judge ordered a 2-day hearing to take place mid-summer. In the event Lo is deemed unfit to stand trial, criminal proceedings against him would be paused, and a judge would likely then order him held in custody for treatment at a secure psychiatric facility. His fitness could then be reassessed at a later date, and then a trial could still happen.
The test for fitness is pretty low. If you are not fit to stand trial, we say, well, there can't be a trial because you can't participate, you're not part of it, you don't know what's going on.
Lo was on extended leave from a mental health facility at the time of the vehicle attack and was still considered an involuntary patient living in the community under supervision and with conditions. A broad publication ban covers many of the details of Lo's court appearances, including the reason for the mental health assessment. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
Coming up next, northeastern BC residents are under a lot of stress due to wildfires. Welcome back. President Donald Trump's doubling of tariffs on foreign steel and aluminum could hit Americans in an unexpected place, the grocery aisles. The announcement of a staggering 50% levy of those imports has stoked fear that big-ticket purchases, from cars to washing machines to even houses, could see major price increases. But those metals are so ubiquitous in packaging, they're likely to pack a punch across consumer products from soup to nuts. Among those opposing the hiked tariffs is the Can Manufacturers Institute. It says American consumers will pay for those taxes in increased cost of canned goods. The NDP government is looking to crack down on shoplifting and other nonviolent crime after numerous calls from business owners for action. A new public safety initiative has launched with $5 million in funding, but as CTV's Craig Krause reports, critics say that's just a drop in the bucket.
Brazen theft is nothing new in this province.
The thief made off with a Rolex watch.
Story after story.
Rocks tossed through their windows. Fires started inside their store.
Business owners demanding change.
No repercussions. How do we cure this?
Now, the BC NDP announced Friday its new community safety and targeted enforcement program.
We heard loud and clear what they wanted, and street-level crimes such as theft, robbery, undermining businesses, and making it sometimes untenable for them to be around.
Spending up to $5 million to help communities throughout the province.
And for so long, it's been going on, and this is not acceptable.
But Task Force Barrage, underway in Vancouver's downtown east side, that police data shows has been effective, costs the same amount, leaving the question to be asked.
Is this $5 million enough to cover the entire province?
This $5 million is beginning investment, so that's why we need robust operational plan and matrices to the outcome, and we'll continue to support police agencies across this province.
Support that BC's public safety critic Eleanor Sturko says needs far more investment.
$5 million for a province, up to $5 million for an entire province that has the level of chaos on the streets, untreated addiction, rampant untreated mental illness on the streets is actually laughable. Probably Williams Lake alone could use the $5 million.
A small community and council contemplating a state of emergency.
It's out of control.
Williams Lake is not alone, and while calls for bail reform grow to target repeat offenders nationwide, this BC program could make a dent.
It allows police to tackle repeat offending through outreach, targeted enforcement, and partnerships.
Now business owners will have to wait and see if anything changes. Craig Crow, CTV News, Vancouver.
It's an anxious time for residents forced out of their homes by wildfires in northeastern BC. Dozens are under an evacuation order as wildfires in the area south of Dawson Creek explodes in size. CTV's Angelina Ravelli spoke with an evacuee worried if she'll have a home to return to.
The Kiskatinaw River fire south of Dawson Creek has grown 11 square kilometers since Thursday afternoon. It's now at about 46 square kilometers. Kelly Lake resident Barb Belcourt, who had to evacuate to Dawson Creek, is having a hard time adjusting.
Devastating. It's heartbreaking because I've lived there 30 plus years.
Crews are working actively to stop the spread.
Over 60 wildfire personnel on the ground are currently working on the fire. Being supported by heavy equipment, as well as aviation resources.
The province has thrown significant resources toward the fire, and structure protection is in place as of last evening. Unfortunately, we are looking at a challenging day forward with gusting winds and drought conditions in the area.
As wildfire season begins to impact the province, BC Wildfire Service warns that fire behavior is only expected to increase in June.
Looking at the information, Environment Canada has really good information. Often now we're seeing this, on your TV weather. The air quality can change, hour to hour. So have a plan.
I'm very hopeful that we're going to not have any property loss here, and absolutely, certainly, without question, any injuries to people.
But not everyone is certain they won't be dealing with losses.
I raised my children there. I raised my grandchildren there. I to have to leave my house and possibly come back to nothing. I can't even describe the pain.
The good news for Dawson Creek, Fort St. John zone, it doesn't appear that there's going to be too much of a risk when it comes to potential thunderstorm or lightning activity.
More than 70% of wildfires last season were caused by lightning. The Kiskatinaw River fire is one of about 60 burning in the province and one of 34 which are classified as out of control. Angelina Ravelli, CTV News, Vancouver.
Just days after Kelowna General Hospital announced its pediatric unit will close for 6 weeks, doctors in the maternity ward are now sounding the alarm. They say there's a looming crisis for pregnant patients and newborns. CTV's Shannon Patterson has the details.
At Kelowna General Hospital, there are 9 doctors in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology who provide specialized care for high-risk pregnancies and emergency surgeries. Low-risk labor and deliveries are supposed to be handled by family physicians or midwives, but the OBGYNs say they're being asked to do it all.
If a low-risk patient is delivering and also something high-risk or emergency comes along where the obstetrician is urgently needed, they can't be in two places at once. So it causes some serious concerns around delivering quality patient care and safety.
Because of a lack of family doctors who can deliver babies, the 9 OBGYNs are warning Kelowna General is facing the potential collapse of primary maternity care coverage as early as June 1st.
These doctors are sounding the alarm because somebody is going to get hurt. Somebody is going to die.
The warning about a looming crisis in the maternity ward at Kelowna General comes on the heels of the pediatric unit announcing it will close for 6 weeks because of a shortage of pediatricians.
Kelowna at the moment is really seeing some enhanced challenges compared to other regions of the province.
This is in every parent WhatsApp group in Kelowna and in the Okanagan. Everyone is talking about this. Everyone is scared by this. Everyone is angry about this.
Today, we're just looking at moving forward a communication to the minister and then also to Interior Health also, just to get a greater understanding of how this kind of sneaks up on an organization and creates the situation that we're in right now.
CTV News reached out to Interior Health for comment, but did not hear back by deadline.
We do have concerns that Interior Health is downplaying how serious these issues are and how they can negatively affect patients in the community and the physicians working in the hospital.
Doctors in multiple departments at Kelowna General are now sounding the alarm, but they're worried no one is listening. Shannon Patterson, CTV News.
And now we take a look at both your nightly and weekly weather forecast. On the north coast, tonight's forecast expects it to be mainly cloudy with a low at 7 degrees, as the rest of the week predicts to see mainly clouds and rain while the high moves from 13 to 14 degrees. In the Terrace Kitimat area, it is expected that tonight will be partly cloudy with a low of 6 degrees, and the weekly forecast should get mixed sun and clouds, then some rain, and lastly a sunny day with the high jumping from 16 to 24 degrees. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, tonight's weather will also be partly cloudy but with a low at 2 degrees, while the rest of the week will include mostly sunnier conditions with a little cloudiness mixed in, as their high shifts between 19 and 25 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. Highway 16 has construction work, bridge maintenance, road sweeping, shoulder maintenance, a pair of special events planned, and ditching. Highway 35 has electrical maintenance, Highway 118 has roadside brushing, Highway 37 has bridge construction, frost heaves, road construction work, Highway 37A has mowing and a warning to watch out for falling rocks between west of Isiaden and east of Stewart, and the Nishka Highway has bridge maintenance. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, a small BC resort town's residents are mad about what happened to their hot springs. Welcome back. The mayor's much anticipated plan to get rid of the Vancouver Park Board is facing another lengthy delay. The city has paused work to abolish the elected board after the province failed to make the necessary changes to the Vancouver Charter in the legislature before the spring session ended. But as CTV's Mark McMahon reports, the mayor still hopes to get total council control of parks.
Mayor Ken Sim initially announced his plans to abolish the Vancouver Park Board back in December 2023, but the NDP government didn't amend the Vancouver Charter before the spring legislative session ended, a required legal step to move ahead.
I'm really pleased to have heard that the NDP is not going to move in this legislative session to abolish the Park Board. I'm glad that the city is taking that as a cue to stop spending money and time on this transition committee.
We're all hoping the mayor's going to move on. I mean, the park board, he has made a mountain out of a molehill here. We do our work in obscurity and at a quiet, low level, but we've been in the national news for a year and a half now.
Both councillors elected in last month's by-election said they'd fight to save the park board.
I spoke to hundreds of Vancouverites during the by-election campaign, and overwhelmingly people were unhappy about the decision to axe the park board without any sort of process.
In a statement, Municipal Affairs Minister Ravi Kahlon says, during the spring session, we prioritized legislation to secure our economy in the face of Trump's unjustified tariff threats. We will continue to work with the city regarding their request. The legislature won't sit again until October, and the ABC majority on council still wants to go ahead with scrapping the elected board.
I do think that the case is there in terms of the benefits to Vancouver residents and the cost savings to not have the two duplicate levels of governance. What we want to do is put the most resources into our parks.
In a statement, Mayor Sim is calling on the province to follow through with the amendment in the fall, saying he's frustrated by this further delay, suggesting his push to dissolve the board isn't dead in the water, at least not yet. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
People in a small BC resort town are boiling mad over what's happened to their hot spring. The pools on public property were filled with boulders and fenced off. CTV's Andrew Johnson on who's being blamed and now who's being ordered to clean up.
This water that bubbles up from the bowels of the earth isn't the only thing steaming right now in Harrison Hot Springs.
Oh, just terrible. Selfish.
People are stewing because they can no longer go for a free soak in this scenic spot at the source of the community's hot springs. The pools, known locally as Hobo Hot Springs, were mysteriously filled in with dirt and boulders last fall, and this week they're suddenly surrounded by a fence.
Well, I thought it was mean-spirited. I thought it was vandalism, and I thought it was just an attempt to stop people enjoying a little bit of the hot spring resource without having to pay for it.
Some pay for it next door at the Harrison Hot Springs Resort, a local tourist destination for generations. And the resort is being blamed for burying and fencing in the free pool.
Unilateral action treating these natural resources like a monopoly, like they own them, sends the wrong message.
The resort potentially in hot water over all of this isn't talking, despite multiple requests for an interview. Now the resort is being investigated by the province and has been ordered to repair the natural spring next door.
The resort is going to clean up the springs and return it to its natural state. As part of that, they asked if they could erect a fence around the site.
The order requires the free hot spring site to be restored by the end of September, undoing what the mayor calls a simple mistake by the resort he believes his community is indebted to.
The village owes its reputation nationally and internationally largely to visitor experiences through the resort over many, many decades.
And it appears the humble Hobo Hot Springs will once again provide a more rustic resort alternative again soon. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Harrison Hot Springs.
A Vancouver Island woman is sharing a warning after her dog was attacked by a deer. The family had to make the difficult decision to put the dog down due to its injuries. And as CTV's Anna McMillan shows us, 2 municipalities are trying to get their deer population under control.
I saw a blur and I realized it was a deer.
Brenda Neveu says the deer came flying across her front yard toward her dog, Jasper.
It just mowed him right over, trampled him. They jumped through.
The Victoria woman says she chased the female deer away and it came back.
I screamed until I lost my voice. A young man came up and said, "Do you need help?"
She says he chased the deer down the street and it came back again. The Environment Ministry says deer can get aggressive during fawning season, though Neveu says she didn't see any babies.
I had to take my pup to the hospital, at 10 years of age. He was sick, so he didn't chase deer, he didn't bark at deer, never had. And we had to make the choice to put him down. He had a flail chest, broken ribs.
Deer are common in Greater Victoria, so Neveu is sharing what happened to Jasper as a warning.
Something needs to be done.
Esquimalt and Oak Bay are studying the effects of contraceptive vaccines on the deer population.
We are getting preliminary results that are indicating that yes, definitely there's been a reduction in the population a reduction in the fawning.
Esquimalt vaccinated 60 deer between 2021 and 2023. It has not given the deer any boosters.
Contraception lasts 22 months. So, if you stop the contraception, it is likely that the population will gradually return again.
A pet is, yes, it's a family member, but a child, that will be devastating if we lose a child.
In the future, Nevu hopes she won't have to worry about her grandson toddling into the yard and getting hurt. Anna McMillan, CTV News, Victoria.
And now we turn our attention to how the stock markets are looking as of today compared to the end of last week. The Canadian dollar is up 28/10 of a cent, the price of gold is up $81.80, oil is up $1.73, natural gas is up 24 cents, aluminum is up $28. In Toronto, the TSX is up 213.91 points, the Venture Index is up 13.01, in New York, the Dow Jones is up 35.91, and Nasdaq is up 128.84. Still ahead is a look at the best products to keep bugs off of you in the summer. Welcome back. Mosquitoes and ticks are not just annoying pests, they also carry serious diseases, which is why it's important to protect yourself. Whether you're planning a camping trip or just hanging out in the backyard, you should have insect repellent on hand. Here's CTV's Pat Foran with tips on which products work best to keep you safe.
To find the best bug sprays, Consumer Reports put repellents to the ultimate test, having real people stick their arms into cages full of hungry mosquitoes.
A repellent fails our test if a mosquito bites twice in one 5-minute session, or if there's one bite in each of 2 consecutive 5-minute sessions.
After testing lotions, sprays, and wipes, testers found some products worked much better than others.
Testing more than 50 products, we recommend 20 of them, with products containing 25 to 30% DEET, consistently outperforming most of the competition.
Among the standouts are Ben's Tick and Insect Repellent Wipes and Wilderness Formula Pump. Both earned top marks in offering excellent protection against mosquitoes and ticks.
In past years, we found that repellents that worked well against mosquitoes also tended to work well against ticks.
Some repellents that contain oil of lemon eucalyptus or picaridin offer some protection against insects, although DEET is the most effective ingredient. Testers did find repellents labeled natural should be avoided.
We do recommend staying away from natural repellents, as these earned dismal scores in our tests.
While the mosquitoes in this test are disease-free, the ones you encounter might not be.
Mosquitoes and ticks can spread serious bug-borne diseases like Lyme disease and West Nile virus.
No matter what type of repellent you choose, how you use it makes a big difference. Apply after sunscreen, use a thin layer on exposed skin, never underneath clothing. It's okay to spray it on top of your clothes, but test it on a small area first to make sure it doesn't damage the fabric. And adults should apply repellent on kids. Before returning home, you should do a tick check after being on hiking trails in the woods or grassy areas, and be sure to wash off insect repellents once you're back indoors for the day. Pat Foran, CTV News.
That's all our news for now. From all of us here at CFTK-TV News, I'm Kale Maslin, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.